Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the AZ Sports Zone right here on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K, or Always Arizona Sports, and today we got a few topics to go over. We're going to be going over the Arizona Cardinals season expectations with the young roster, with Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. leading the helm. We're going to be talking about the Phoenix Suns roster moves and exactly what direction they're heading in with new coach Mike Budenholzer, led by the Big Three, Booker, KD, and Bradley Beal. And we're going to be briefly talking about the Phoenix Mercury opening up a new training facility and naming it after Mercury legend Diana Taurasi. And lastly, we're going to be going over the Arizona Diamondbacks second half season surge, and we're going to be going over what the Diamondbacks could be doing at the trade deadline to make another World Series push for the second straight year. Thank you guys so much for coming in. We'll be back, but welcome to the AZ Sports Zone right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, guys, welcome to the AZ Sports Zone right here on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Alden K. And man. First off, this is my first episode, so I can't wait to get started with you fine people. First off, I want to give a shout out to Larry B for giving me an opportunity to be here. I'm just, an average kid, just, putting out sports content. So at the end of the day, guys, I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to get to know a lot of people that are on here. It's going to be an amazing freaking show that we're going to be doing here. I already see some of my subs are in the chat, so what's up to everybody? So I want to get this started by basically telling you guys a little bit about me. So I know a lot of people here don't really know me, but my platform name is Always Arizona Sports. You guys could call me Alden on here if you want. You could call me Always Arizona Sports. It doesn't matter. I've been an Arizona sports fan I do like to say since my first breath. I always keep up with my teams no matter what. I'm brutally honest with the Cardinals, Suns, Diamondbacks, and I've never been a Coyotes fan, so I guess it's good that they're out of there. I'm a Carolina Hurricanes fan, so I try to keep up with them as much as I can. And of course, ASU for life. Cannot stand U of A, but I will try to post them as much as I can on here. And of course, I consider myself a Mercury fan, even though I don't really watch them as much. But that being said, guys, that's a little bit about me. So I can't wait to get started on here. But guys, first, make sure to follow us on all of our platforms on the IE Sports Radio right here. Make sure to follow all of them at IE Sports Radio. And if you guys missed some of our shows, just make sure to check right here. Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, etc. Make sure to visit our website, guys, iesportsradio.com, as well as our shop, which is basically the same thing. And then make sure to follow our custom pages, guys. And here's mine right here if you guys want to give it a check out. And of course, on Twitter or X, wherever you guys like to call it, I have two accounts. So this account right here is what I'll be using on the IE Sports Radio. So if you guys follow me on here, you guys can also, follow me on Twitter as well, and on my personal account too. So my personal account right here, the AZTRL. This is the Twitter account where I am unfiltered as hell. I am brutally honest when it comes to my team. I curse out my teams when they're not doing anything, I guess you guys like to call it or whatever in the sports world. But that is my personal Twitter account. And then also, guys, make sure to follow my YouTube channel. So I am also a YouTuber. I've been doing YouTube since 2021. I love doing it. I really love being able to meet new people who love sports as much as I do. So for my YouTube, it's pretty different compared to what you'll be seeing on here every Friday when I'm on here. So on my YouTube, I'll just be doing live streams, basically talking about the games, the teams, and sometimes I'll be doing live streams on the Diamondbacks, which is what I am doing as of today because obviously there's not really any other sports going on right now. So as of right now, I'm just doing Diamondback live streams. But when the Cardinals season hits, I'll definitely be live streaming the games, and you guys will get an unfiltered version of me on my channel. But yeah, if you guys like hanging out, if you guys like doing any of that, just come on my YouTube channel where we talk shit sometimes, talk sports in general, and mainly just have fun because that's what it's about on here. So make sure to follow our sponsors, guys, Planet Jerky, and our other sponsor as well. Seal the Deal Wax Seals. So those are our sponsors. Make sure to go give them a check out. But with that being said, guys, a quick word from our sponsors. Once again, welcome to the AZ Sports Zone, episode 1, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, eSports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Alrighty, guys. Once again, welcome to the AZ Sports Zone right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K. And our first topic for the day, we're going to be talking about no other than our amazing, well, not amazing, but hopefully on the rise football team, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Arizona Cardinals, a very, very young developing team, and I want to say that this is probably the biggest team that I have the most hype for out of all my teams so far. Despite the Suns and Diamondbacks being playoff teams, I cannot wait to see this Arizona Cardinals team hopefully on the rise with Kyler Murray at the helm and second-year head coach Jonathan Gannon. So the Arizona Cardinals, coming off the last two seasons, haven't really exactly been, I guess, they've won 8 games in the last 2 seasons. So obviously there's a lot that can be said about this upcoming Cardinals team. Are they going to have another down year? Are they still a rebuilding team? Could they have a comeback season, kind of like a Houston Texans kind of comeback season? So the one thing that I like to really talk about when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals, you guys also have to look at the schedule that they have as well. I know that Monty Austin, ever since he came in here, he's been doing a very good job developing and drafting and making the right choices. He wasn't like, Steve Keim, where he just collected talent, skipped steps, and we were just a living hell for the past decade he was here. So with Monty Ossenfort, ever since he came in, it all started with drafting Paris Johnson because Kyler Murray coming off a torn ACL, he does need the protection. And it all started with drafting Paris Johnson in the first round of the draft before last year's. And following up to that, hiring Jonathan Gannon as well. So the Jonathan Gannon hiring, a lot of fans, including myself, we were all really skeptical about it. And some of us wanted, guys like Brian Flores, just some of the other guys that were somewhat proven. But he brought in Jonathan Gannon, who was coming off a Super Bowl year with the Eagles, and ever since he came in, he's been developing an amazing relationship, an amazing bond with his players. The players seem to love him. Kyler Murray seems to be happy once again. What's up, Spongy? How you doing? Speaking of the Eagles, I'm doing well, Spongy. How are you doing? And what's up to everybody in the chat as well? I know I haven't really been reading the comments lately. I'm going to be doing that as I go along here. But speaking of basically this Arizona Cardinals upcoming team, so they're coming off an amazing draft, amazing draft, drafting Marvin Harrison Jr., Darius Robinson in the first round, following by Max Melton, which we needed. We need secondary as well. Secondary has always been a weakness for the Cardinals for these past few years, and they did that with Max Melton out of Rutgers, a guy that a lot of people weren't really seeing potential in, but definitely under Jonathan Gannon, along with Darius Robinson and some of the other guys that we've been able to pick up. You know, we talk about Mac Wilson as well from New England, who had an underrated season with the Patriots, and now he's paired up with Zaven Collins as well, which is a linebacker duo that I cannot wait to watch. So the Arizona Cardinals expectations. Now, there's a lot you can talk about when it comes to stuff like this. You know, is this Kyler Murray's last chance in Arizona? Is Marvin Harrison Jr. gonna start off hot right off the bat? Is he gonna turn into a stellar wide receiver right away from the first snap? Is Jonathan Gannon gonna really lead this team to where it's supposed to be under a weak, I guess you could somewhat say weak NFC? So obviously, when you look at the schedule, so I'm not really guys to really, you know, make predictions because predictions don't really mean much. But looking at this schedule, right? Buffalo week 1. Now see, when you talk about the Buffalo Bills, they did lose a lot of talent, and I am excited and I'm kind of glad in a way that the Arizona Cardinals are heading into Buffalo in September and not December when it's freezing ass cold. I'm really glad that we're getting this game over with in Buffalo. Our Cardinals suck. I love my team, but we need to step the hell up. Yes, I agree, and they do need to prove it, especially Kyler Murray, because I do feel like that this is somewhat his last chance. But at the end of the day, with the contract that we gave Kyler Murray, you know, there's not really going to be a team or anything like that that's really going to want that contract. So I feel like regardless, we are stuck with Kyler Murray, but this is probably one of his last chances to really prove himself as our starting quarterback. So got Buffalo in Buffalo. Now, you guys know, if you guys are football fans, you guys should always know that week 1, the first 3 or 4 weeks, you don't really know what team to really expect from your team. Your team could suck as you expect, they could be good as you expect, or they could really just shock you, whether it's good or bad. So, the Arizona Cardinals heading into Buffalo. Now, like I said, I'm not really want to make predictions, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. So basically, Buffalo going into Buffalo facing one of the best MVP caliber quarterbacks in Josh Allen, and they also drafted Keon Coleman after trading Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans. So the Buffalo Bills have somewhat of a young team heading into this season. It doesn't help that the NFC West is improving drastically, and the NFC West that is a good topic because the NFC West has been getting, tough. It's been tough year in and years out. The Niners obviously coming off a Super Bowl year. The Rams coming off a surprising playoff year, even though I thought the Rams were going to suck last year, but they did prove me wrong in a way. And then you always have the Seahawks. It doesn't matter, who their quarterback is or, who their head coach is, even though they have a first year head coach. Basically, the Seattle Seahawks, they're always going to be a competitive team, especially when it comes to the Cardinals. Normally, when we face the Seahawks, we normally split with them, but these past couple years, they have really had our number, I guess. So at the end of the day, we'll see what happens when it comes to the Seahawks. But I am excited to see how we do against our division this season. Touche teams still think we'll be third or fourth, and you know what? I do agree. I wouldn't be shocked if we finish last again. It just really depends on how the Seahawks do, I guess, because I do feel like the Niners and Rams are going to be first and second again. But when it comes to this Cardinals team, I mean, they're just that team that you don't know what they're going to get because under Monty Austin he's really built this team differently to a point to where when it comes to our defense and our offense, you don't really know what kind of team you're going to be getting, especially this upcoming season with the young guys that we brought in, the veterans that we brought in. So it'll just see. But basically, in week 1 facing one of the tallest quarterbacks versus one of the shortest quarterbacks. Yeah, it is kind of funny. And not just that, but Josh Allen, he is known for his agility too, and so is Kyler Murray. But I do feel like ever since Kyler Murray tore his ACL, he hasn't really been the mobile type of quarterback, I guess. We've seen Kyler Murray run out of the pocket, but not really take off like he did in his first few years. So that's the one thing I kind of want to see. Kyler Murray get better at this upcoming season is being able to use his legs a lot. Because if you guys remember, in his first few seasons when Kyler Murray was running the ball, I think there was a stat where if Kyler Murray ran the ball 10 or more times, the Cardinals won like over 80% of their games. It was a crazy stat line. So, and these past couple years, and I completely understand Kyler Murray not using his legs a lot because he is coming off a knee injury, an ACL injury at that too. So coming back from an injury like that, it is going to take time to be able to get comfortable running again without the fear of getting injured, especially with a quarterback like Kyler Murray as well, because of the fact that he is 5'10 or 5'11, whatever people call him these days. But, with certain occasions like that, it is, questionable regarding Kyler Murray. As Larry says right here, Cardinals have potential, but never do anything with it. And hopefully, with Marvin Harrison Jr., that changes. I completely agree with Marvin Harrison Jr. coming here as well. And you know what? It's not just Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like a lot of people are sort of underrating our receivers. Now, Cardinals fans, you guys may know you guys should know our other receivers. We got Michael Wilson entering his second season. We got Greg Dortch, who is going to be our slot receiver. So for people that aren't Cardinals fans, you guys might not even know who the hell those receivers are. But Michael Wilson coming off a somewhat decent rookie season, I think he did miss, a couple time due to injuries, but when he did play, he did show a lot of promise. And yes, we talk about Trey McBride, our tight end as well, who had an amazing second season. So I feel like it's not just Marvin Harrison Jr. And I kind of like it when people say he's the only weapon that we have because Marvin Harrison Jr. may be elite, or at least we would expect him to be elite. But I also feel like what people aren't talking about is Marvin Harrison Jr. being a decoy in some way because he takes attention from the secondary, and Kyler Murray is going to be able to find guys like Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Trey Benson, who came out of Florida State, who he took, James Conner, who we talk about had probably the best season of his career a year ago. So when it comes to this Cardinals offense, a lot of people just assume it's Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. and I guess somewhat James Conner. And despite Trey McBride having a good season, I feel like a lot of people are counting him out because there was a point where he had identical numbers to Travis Kelce for a bit. So a lot of great promise from our young guys as well. Again, that's what Monty Ossenfort's been doing. He's been able to bring in a bunch of young talent and really, show that this team does have a chance of succeeding this season. McBride is one of the best tight ends that we've ever had, and probably the best tight end that we have ever had. This Cardinals are Cardinals 100 years of existence. They're not really known for tight ends, I guess. I mean Zach Ertz is probably the closest that you can remember. There was a time where we had Troy Nicholas as well. Guys like that. But guys that weren't really on the elite level. So adding Zay Jones as well, yeah, and a guy that I just forgot about, Zay Jones as well. So a guy who came out of Jacksonville. Because I'm friends with a couple of Jaguars fans. A lot of people had concerns with Zay Jones's ability to catch the ball, but at the end of the day, with Zay Jones on this team, and you guys forget we still have preseason around the corner too. So some of these guys that we see on our roster right now, we don't really know if they're going to be on the active roster heading into September when we take on Buffalo in Buffalo. So how big of a loss was Hollywood Brown? Now, Hollywood Brown, the first year he was here, I was excited. I was like, yeah, he's coming fresh out of Baltimore. He had good seasons with Lamar Jackson. But a lot of the concerns regarding Hollywood Brown when he got here were one, his ability to stay healthy, and two, his ability to catch the ball. And his 2 seasons in Arizona didn't really show a lot. His injuries continue to stay with him when he was in Arizona. I get him and Kyler Murray had a great relationship, but there was going to be a point in time where Hollywood just had to go because, as Angela says here, Hollywood's injuries was his biggest loss. When he was healthy, he was a good piece, especially because we didn't have a lot of proven receivers when Hollywood was playing. But when he was injured, when Hollywood was injured, we didn't really have an offense, I guess, except for Trey McBride, I guess. But we also, and yeah, people forget when Kyler Murray was injured, we had Josh Dobbs playing, who showed some decent signs in the first, I think like the first 4 or 5 weeks, but then after that, he went back to reality, and including an upset win over the Cowboys as well, and showing good a good fight against teams with good defenses like the Commanders, the Giants, even the Niners too. Even though we got blown out by them, he's somewhat, despite throwing three interceptions in the first game, showed a little bit. But yeah, the backup quarterbacks. We even had Clayton Tune get shut out against Cleveland last season. It was brutal and it was horrendous. So when Kyler Murray came back, this offense really started clicking, and we were beating teams that were really almost in the playoff contention. We beat the Falcons, who barely missed the playoffs. We beat the Steelers, who got the seventh seed in Pittsburgh as well. We also beat Philadelphia in Philly. And even though they were on the downhill at that time, I mean, we were down 20, I think it was 21-6 at one point heading into Philadelphia, and Kyler Murray and James Conner led to a comeback victory. So that was really nice to see as well from Kyler Murray. And it showed a lot of great promise on what this Cardinals team is very capable of in the upcoming years. But back to Hollywood Brown, though. There was a point where Hollywood Brown, when he was playing, I think there was a point where he didn't have one catch for like 3 or 4 straight games or something like that. So I'm losing my voice here, but anyway, yeah. So as far as Hollywood goes, I mean, hey, he is playing with Patrick Mahomes now. So at the end of the day, I mean, with Patrick Mahomes playing, throwing the ball to Hollywood, I could see his numbers go up a little bit more because it's Mahomes and he makes any receiver around him look good. So, but Hollywood, I got nothing against Hollywood. I wish him the best in Kansas City. So, except for if we ever play them. So, yeah, the Eagles game, spongy. But yeah, regarding the Arizona Cardinals, back on the expectations. So, my expectations on the Arizona Cardinals in this upcoming 2024-2025 season, I don't expect this team to make the playoffs, but I do expect this team to look good for the 25-26 season because I mean, we're coming off a 4-13 season. We have a bunch of new players on this team. There were some guys that we had to, let go, and we also talk about the Cardinals not picking up Zaven Collins' fifth-year option, which is questionable. So Zaven Collins this upcoming season is on a contract year, and he is really gonna have to prove himself if he's gonna stay on this team as well. So with that being said, this Arizona Cardinals team, my floor for the Arizona Cardinals is 6-11, and my ceiling for them is no more than 9-8. So, and my prediction for the Arizona Cardinals is 8-9. So I'm not going to go over every game that they have on their schedule, but with the schedule that they do have this year, with the promising coach of Jonathan Gannon, like I said, he came in here. He's been really building a strong relationship with his players, something that Cliff Kingsbury never really did. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, even Kyler Murray wanted him gone. So it's nice to have a coach that really builds a relationship with not just the team, but the front office as well. And it seems like everybody's really on the same page. Our players have really come out and they've talked about Kyler Murray really stepping up as a leader because, the criticism that Kyler Murray has been getting lately. And you guys know the jokes that people throw at him. All he does is play Call of Duty, this and that. But the players have really sent a message that Kyler Murray is going to give it his all this season. And I feel like as Cardinal fans, with what we've been going through these past few years, well, not past few years, maybe ever since the 2015 season, um, Kyler Murray giving it his all, that's really all we can ask for at this point because um, I mean, winning 4 games, and Kyler won 3 of them too. So showing a lot of great promise is really key for Kyler Murray this season. If Kyler Murray can lead this team to the playoffs, and we talk about the NFC as well. When I look at the NFC, we have our teams that are contenders, right? The Niners, the Lions, the Packers. I guess you could say the Cowboys because they're still a regular season team. Um, there's teams in our division too, like the Rams. That's 5. Seattle, we don't really know what kind of team we're going to get. They have a first-year head coach. We'll see if Geno Smith can really keep it going for Seattle. Um, yeah, so just a little bit about the NFC. So I do consider the NFC West open. I do consider it an open conference because compared to the AFC, I mean, I feel like the AFC is stacked compared to the NFC. So, I mean, in the AFC, you have your teams, right? Chiefs, Bills, uh, maybe the Bengals coming back. So we have teams in the AFC that are on a lock. But for the NFC, I feel like especially that 7th seed is wide open for anybody. So those 5 teams that I named, in addition to, I guess you could say the Rams, the Seahawks, Maybe the Chicago Bears as well, because we don't really know what type of rookie season that Caleb Williams is going to have. He does have the offense around him as far as the Bears go. But when it comes to those teams, I mentioned Detroit, who I think is going to win that division. Minnesota with JJ McCarthy, we don't really know what kind of Vikings team we're going to get, but last year they almost made the playoffs. So with Kirk Cousins now in Atlanta and with JJ McCarthy taking over, or Sam Darnold, whatever quarterback they start over there in Minnesota, we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, you have the NFC East, or the NFC least, as I like to call it. You got Philly and Dallas, who are most likely going to make the playoffs. And then Washington, who just took Jaden Daniels. They have a first-year coach in Dan Quinn. Um, literally, I mean, Washington's a 50-50 for me. And then you have the Giants, who beefed up their defense big time. I do like the Brian Burns trade that the Giants made because, Brian Burns, along with Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence, I mean, this NFC is getting tougher. But when it comes to the NFC, I do like our chances of sneaking in as a seventh seed, maybe sixth. No more than that. I don't see us winning the division this year. I don't even see us getting second in the division. I could see us getting no more than third place. So, like I said, an 8-9 record, maybe 9-8. If they could, and if they get 10-7, I would consider that a successful season. But as far as playoffs go, I don't see us making it. It just really depends on how the rest of the conference and the rest of our division does. But basically, as Terrence says, the NFC South is the weakest division in the league. It might be because you got Carolina, who's a dumpster fire, Atlanta, who just signed Kirk Cousins and then drafted Michael Penix. So there's a bunch of drama going on in Atlanta, I guess, when it comes to the quarterback room that they have. You also have who am I forgetting? The Saints with Derek Carr. I'm pretty sure they went 8-9 last year, maybe 7-10, but they were a mid team. So who knows what the Saints could be going through? And then you have the Buccaneers, who last season I thought Tampa Bay was going to have one of the worst seasons, but Baker Mayfield shocked not just me, but I think a lot of people, and went on to make the playoffs, win a playoff game, and beat Philly, and then went out swinging against the Lions. So for the Cardinals, those are my expectations. I do see the Cardinals missing the playoffs, having a record no better than 9-8. My prediction is 8-9, but no more than 9-8 at that, and really just looking like a team that could really make some noise in the future. I'm not saying it has to be this year. I don't mind if it's this year. I hope we get back to the playoffs and make some noise. But at the end of the day, that is my ceiling for the Cardinals, going 9-8. So let's get to the chat. You really had to say beat Philly. I don't like Philadelphia. So yes, Spongy, I did have to say beat Philadelphia. I don't like Philly, and I don't mind the Sixers. But other than that, Philadelphia, I just can't stand y'all. So, or the teams, that is. So, let's see right here. So, Terran's got the Buccaneers winning the NFC South. That's probably my pick as well. So Carcast, what's up? Carcast says, how much do you think Buda Baker's veteran presence will help out a young bull like Max Melton coming into the league? I think Buda Baker is going to have a lot of impact, not just on Max Melton, but other guys as well. And not just him either. We have Jalen. Yeah, okay, Spongy. We have Jalen Thompson as well. And we talk about our secondary, which has been kind of a struggle. So Buda Baker's leadership, it has been shown that he is the leader of this team since I think the year we were on Hard Knocks in 2022. You guys may or may not have seen the clip where Buda Baker is just, I think it was the game where we lost to the Seahawks at home. Yeah. Spongy is amazing. He's one of my subscribers. He's a 13-year-old kid who loves Philadelphia, but he's amazing. So back what I was saying. So I think it was the game where we lost to the Seahawks where Buda Baker was rupturing up in the locker room, and that famous quote that Arizona fans like to say, "I'm tired of losing." Because we are tired of losing. We've been losing for literally generations, if because generations of generations at that too. We've came close in the Super Bowl. We've came close in so many playoff games, and we just cannot seem to get the job done. So when it comes to Buda Baker, like you said, Max Melton, who as Nick Saban said, is one of the most underrated lockdown secondary defensive backs coming into this season as a rookie. And hey, if you get the word from Nick Saban that he's an underrated lockdown, you better believe it, or at least I believe it. So when it comes to Max Melton's ability to shut down guys. And you guys remember too, last year we had freaking what was his name that went to the Patriots? Marco Wilson, who was absolute burnt toast. And then finally we got rid of him and he went to the Patriots, this and that. And I was never a fan of Marco Wilson, but I'm glad that we have Max Melton now as our rookie. And as Ralph says, what's up, Ralph? Welcome to the show. Wishing you a great show, number one. Always exciting. Yeah, nice. Picking up furniture. Yeah, great for you, man. Great for you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to get started with all you guys. Once again, another shout out to Larry for giving me an opportunity because I really appreciate it. I mean, I love being able to collab with other people and really talk sports. So, back to where I was. So yeah, Buda Baker as a leader, I don't think he's just going to improve our defense's mentality. It's our offense as well. A lot of our guys really look up to Buda Baker, and there's always the talk where Buda Baker, he might not want to be here anymore. He deserves better. He deserves better than losing on an Arizona team. And yes, we talk about Sean Murphy Bunting as well, who the Cardinals signed to a 3-year deal. So yeah, a lot of underrated signings that Monty Ossenfort was able to pick up. But yeah, like I said, only good thing we got our Marco Wilson was the awesome backflip picture. And honestly, that Thursday night Saints game, that was the only game I ever gave him credit for because he had 2 pick sixes, I think, in that game. Granted, it was Andy Dalton playing in that game, but other than that, Marco Wilson, go rot in New England for all I care. But anyway, but yeah, man, Buda Baker, I hope he stays a Cardinal for life. He's a fan favorite here, or at least he's my favorite. He's my favorite Cardinal as of right now. I still need to get a new jersey of his, but with that being said, basically, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to coming up to this Arizona Cardinals team. There's a lot of expectations and maybe, something that we can look forward to. I will be going to a couple games this season as well. So I'm going to be going to the Chicago Bears game, week 9. Be able to see Caleb Williams, DJ Moore against Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr. That's going to be an amazing game. And I'm also going to try to go to the week 3 game in Detroit. Like I said, I am an Arizona native and I do go to a lot of the games in person. So I've also been trying to get into vlogging those games a little bit too. So when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals, though, like I said, I'll end with this. The Arizona Cardinals, I expect them to be no more than a mid team this season. But if they can exceed expectations, like I said, if they could go 10-7 and barely make the 7th seed, maybe slightly miss the playoffs, I would consider that a success because that would give us a good season heading into the offseason. A lot more free agents might be interested in coming to Arizona a lot more, and we could continue to build up with the huge amount of cap space that we have. I think heading into the offseason next year, I think we have the 2nd most cap space in the NFL because the salary cap just keeps increasing. So if we can have a 10-7 season and really keep it going from there, I would consider that a huge success, and I would really be hyped up for this Arizona Cardinals future. Nice room. Hey, appreciate it, Spongy. Yep, this is my man cave, as I call it. So I'm gonna try to upgrade it as I keep it going here. Anything more than 4 wins, I guess that's a success as well because we have won 4 games in the last 2 seasons. Well, 8 games in the last 2 seasons. Both of them being 4 games or 4 wins. So, and I was actually at the game where Kyler Murray tore his ACL against the Patriots too. It was very depressing. So it sucked. But I'm glad Kyler Murray is going to be playing week 1. He is going to be our starter. No more of our backup quarterbacks who should be working at Burger King or something like that. But anyways, with that being said, guys, our next topic, we're going to be going over the Phoenix Suns and the roster moves that the Phoenix Suns have made and hopefully make a championship push that we've been waiting for. Once again, guys, this is the AZ Sports Zone right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports, and I will update you on all that's black and gold. Have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, The Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone. On IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K. And our next topic, we're going to be getting into the Phoenix Suns. And boy, you may hear a little bit of ranting, guys. You may hear a little bit of ranting here because I am brutally honest. I'm brutally honest with all my teams, but I feel like this is the team that I'm the most brutally honest about because I just cannot, get enough at all of, what this team has really been going through. So, by the way, guys, make sure to sub up to the YouTube as well, which is where I'm going live on, also on Twitter and etc. Make sure to sub up to that, guys, because we are trying to grow here. And one thing I like to really, go over is how much of an impact I try to make by, going live talking about not just my teams, but other teams in all sports. So once again, guys, make sure to support because it's not just me. All right. There's a bunch of other people here too. So make sure to give them a support as well, not just when I'm going live, because I know some of my subs are here. Make sure to support the other people as well. They have a different schedule every week compared to mine. So make sure to do that. But with that being said, let's get to the Phoenix Suns. So the Phoenix Suns coming off a 4-game sweep off of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So heading into the offseason, there were a lot of questions. Is Kevin Durant going to request a trade? Is Devin Booker going to want out? Is Bradley Beal going to get traded even though nobody wants his contract, this and that? So when it comes to the Phoenix Suns, right? They came off firing head coach Frank Vogel after one season, after one tremendously terrible season. And they hired Mike Budenholzer, former NBA champion with the Milwaukee Bucks, who beat my team in 6. Yeah, go ahead and say it in the chat all you want. But anyway, so with the addition of Mike Budenholzer, a defensive-minded guy, a guy that some of our players have worked with before, and with the big three still being there, if you want to call it the big three, I call it the big two because I do not include Bradley Beal. It's mainly just Devin Booker and Kevin Durant for me, and then the rest of it is just our depth. But the Phoenix Suns made a couple or few moves, I guess you want to call it. But the Phoenix Suns entering the offseason had a lot of questions. They needed to re-sign guys like Bol Bol, Josh Okogie, pick up a new point guard because the last season we didn't really have a point guard that could really dish the ball well. It was just Devin Booker, who is a good ball handler, but that's not really his position. He's a shooting guard, as we remember him as. So with the additions of Ryan Dunn, Oso Iguodaro, the two guys that the Suns drafted in the NBA draft, and Spongie's already getting to it. Ryan Dunn is easily already your best defender on the team, and yes, I agree. Ryan Dunn, who in the summer league is showing great promise, not scoring wise, but mainly defense, and that's why the Suns brought him to Phoenix. Because if you guys know our GM James Jones, he's not really the guy who's really known for drafting that well, but we really needed defense entering this draft, and that's what he did, and not just Ryan Dunn, but also Iguodaro as well, who was an Arizona native, and I can't wait to see him play in Phoenix. So coming out of Chandler High School too, so it's a good warm home welcome, I guess. But basically, when it comes to the Phoenix Suns, Now I'm not gonna talk about their expectations because we should all know what to expect from the Phoenix Suns. They'll probably have a good regular season. Maybe they'll fold in the playoffs. Maybe they'll surprisingly win it all. You never know. So, but the roster moves, they did add a point guard. They signed Monty Morris from the Timberwolves to really come off the bench. And we also talk about the bench of the Phoenix Suns because the Phoenix, yeah, he is already our best defender, but the Phoenix Suns, um, what was I about to say? So the bench was an issue for the Suns last season because we also talk about our scoring ability coming off the bench because other than Bobo last season, we didn't really have like that kind of scorer coming off the bench. But with the addition of Monty Morris, who I think should be our seventh man behind Bobo being our sixth man, I feel like dishing the ball and lowering the turnovers with Monty Morris is really going to happen a lot. We're not going to see a lot of turnovers like we saw last year with Frank Vogel as our coach. There were even times where Houston Nurkic was bringing the ball down the court, and he's a center. So now that we have a couple point guards on our team, it's something that we could definitely look forward to. So when it comes to uh, the Suns heading into this upcoming season, because I think we're only like 3 or 4 months away. So this offseason has been going by pretty quick. We talk about what the Phoenix Suns should do. So Matt Ishbia came out and said, our owner Matt Ishbia came out and said that the Suns are not going to make it past the second apron. Now, if you guys don't know what that is, the second apron is basically like a financial thing where uh, if you go like over the cap space or the dead cap, this and that, you are going to have to make some moves or you can't do that, this and that. So it's kind of interesting because basically what Matt Ishbia said is that heading into these next 2 seasons, we may not see the big three together for no more than 2 years. So it's kind of interesting. Or at least that's not exactly what he said, but that's kind of the vibe he was giving a little bit. So we talk about Kevin Durant entering the season. He'll be 35 years old. Devin Booker, who is still in his late 20s, even though he's been in the league for almost a decade. I think this upcoming year will be his 10th year, maybe ninth year. So Booker's been in the league for a good minute, but he's still very young. And then Bradley Beal, who's in his early 30s. What's up, Mitch? Another Philly fan that I know. So, we talk about the big three. How much longer are they going to be together? Because Kevin Durant is aging. So these next 2 seasons are going to be very crucial. I feel like this Phoenix Suns team has no more than 2 years to win a championship, or at least the window to win a championship. Because our team is aging. We have guys in the Western Conference that are getting better as a younger team. We talk about the Mavericks, who I hate drastically, but just made the finals. The Timberwolves, who went to the conference finals. They're still a very young team. And then we talk about the Nuggets, still a championship caliber team. And then, we have guys like the Lakers who are probably going to compete no matter what. It is what it is. Um, you know, hopefully they miss the playoffs. The Clippers, who I feel like the Clippers, they're going to downgrade, but I feel like they're still going to be a decent playoff team despite getting rid of Paul George and Russell Westbrook. It all just depends on Kawhi's health and I guess James Harden in a way. Um, and then who else? There is a team I am forgetting, but you guys get my point. The Western Conference is tough. So we talk about the Grizzlies, John Morant coming back. So this Phoenix Suns team, as old as they're getting, as much money as Matt Ishbia is spending, and I'm not knocking off Matt Ishbia or anything like that, but because you guys remember our former owner, he, was a cheapskate, didn't spend anything on this team. So I'm glad that with Matt Ishbia, we at least have a chance. So I heard that about the Lakers. Sorry, I don't like LA. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. So the roster moves that the Suns have made, I'm glad that we re-signed Bobo because Bobo was a big factor coming off the bench. And I feel like we should have played him a lot more. It just all fell down to Frank Vogel being a moron. And if you're a Lakers fan, you know that already. So just Frank Vogel not being able to play our guys. And it's kind of funny. Whenever a guy on our team was playing good, Frank Vogel would bench him. Whenever a guy was playing bad, like Drew Eubanks, occasionally Houston Nurkic, um, Bradley Beal when he was playing terrible, when those guys were playing bad, he would leave them in the game. So when it comes to Mike Budenholzer, I expect him to be a little bit more smarter than Frank Vogel when he was here for a 1-year rental. I do expect him to build that solid lineup. So obviously Nurkic is going to be our center. There's no doubt about that. KD might be our 4. The 3 spot. The 3 spot, I feel like could be Grayson Allen once again, but you never know. It could change. Grayson Allen, there were times where he came off the bench a little bit. Grayson Allen, who we just signed to a 4-year extension too. So that was very key as he was our best shooter last season. I'm glad we got Grayson Allen back. Hell of a big improvement season, and he definitely proved me wrong after we traded him for DeAndre Ayton, who is now sucking in Portland. So the number 2 spot obviously should be Devin Booker. We may see him or Bradley Beal, I guess, switching in between the 1 and 2. We could see maybe Bradley Beal coming off the bench. We just never know. And then our point guard, and maybe Bradley Beal again. You just never know. It could be Monty Morris. Maybe he'll come off the bench. So there's a lot of questions with this Phoenix Suns team entering the season as to what is the starting lineup going to be, and what this team is going to be capable of doing. My biggest concern with the Phoenix Suns, everybody could probably say it with me, is health. Because the Phoenix Suns dealing with so many injuries last season. Now our big 3, they did play a decent amount of games together, but Bradley Beal didn't play his first Suns game until I think I want to say December, maybe November. So, and it's sad that Kevin Durant, known for his injuries ever since he ruptured his Achilles in the NBA Finals, he was our healthiest player last year, and it's sad to hear that. I mean, there were games that Devin Booker missed. There were games that Grayson Allen missed, Houston Nurkic. Like, there was not one guy on our team that was healthy for more than 70 games of the season than Kevin Durant. Other than KD, he was our healthiest player. So health is the biggest factor to look forward to entering this upcoming season. But as optimistic as I am, as brutally honest as I am, there is still hope that I have that this Phoenix Suns team could finally get over that hump and win the NBA Finals and finally bring home a championship to Phoenix, because the Suns team was actually the first Arizona team I got into. You guys remember the Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire days? It's time for this team to win a championship, and we don't have that much longer left to do it. So, obviously my expectations, I don't think we're going to win it this year, but I am optimistic about it. We have the team to do it. We have the assets to do it. We have the coach to do it. He's a proven NBA champion. He's proven, and that's the difference too. He's an actual proven championship winning coach. It's not like Frank Vogel where he won a COVID ring, as I like to say it. This Mike Budenholzer actually is a proven regular season guy and an actual realistic NBA season championship winner as well. So, with that being said, I feel like this team, but with the roster that we have, and listen, this Phoenix Suns team is a good example of being on paper doesn't mean anything. On paper don't mean shit. That's what I like to say. Because on paper heading into last year, I thought this team was going to win it all. But on paper doesn't mean anything, because in reality, they dealt with injuries. They weren't getting the chemistry well as a team, and then we ended up getting swept in the first round. So hopefully last year really gave Suns fans a lesson that as well as we look good on paper, it doesn't mean anything. The Suns team really has to prove it. They have to prove it on the court, because there's been years in and years out. We've had so many chances, and we just cannot get over the hump. And in 2021, we were that close. We were literally this close. We were 2 games up on Milwaukee. And then what happened? Chris Paul got injured. Devin Booker dealt with a mild hamstring injury. And then Giannis happened. Chris Middleton happened, and they won 4 straight. So that's how close we've been to winning the finals, guys. That's how close that we've been. We even came close to beating Michael Jordan with Charles Barkley. We came that close. And, this team, despite having 0 titles, they have a very good history. It's not a good one, but they have a good history full of players and coaches that have came close. And with these roster moves that we made, we also, there's one thing I forgot to say. We re-signed Josh Okogie to a 2-year deal as well. So, yeah. And as Terrence says right here, the fan was counting the money when Giannis was shooting the free throws. You guys remember back in 2021 when Milwaukee was playing Brooklyn, and the fans just started counting how long it took Giannis to shoot the free throws. That's what the Suns fans were doing. And then there was one fan where, as Giannis was shooting the free throws, there was a fan that they caught on camera where while he was counting $100 bills, this and that. It was hilarious at first because we actually ended up winning that game, and that was the game we went up 2-0. But a lot of Suns fans say that that was the curse that led to Milwaukee winning 4 straight. So believe it if you want, but in reality, I just feel like that Suns team in 2021 took Milwaukee for granted. As soon as we went up 2-0, I feel like the young team that we were, and even Mikal Bridges came out and said that when the Suns team went up 2-0, they took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit because they thought it was a lock that they were going to win the title. You can't do that. You can't do that in the NBA Finals. Like, if you're up 3-0, then maybe if you're up 3-0 because it's actually proven that nobody's came back from 3-0. But when you're up 2-0, you can't do that because there have been teams that have came back. As Kobe once said, the job ain't done yet. So you can't do that, especially in the playoffs. So when the NBA season hits, it's definitely going to be interesting. I can't wait. The Yeah, if you guys follow me on my personal YouTube, you guys are going to hear a lot of ranting with all my teams, but especially with the Phoenix Suns. That's just how it is. So with that being said, let me move on to a brief topic of the Phoenix Mercury. So the Phoenix Mercury recently opened a training facility. I think Matt Ishbia said it was, I think, was it $100,000 or 100 million, something like that. You know, Matt Ishbia, he's a billionaire who likes to spend his money on his teams, which is sometimes good, sometimes not good to have. But the Phoenix Mercury opened up a new training facility and they named it after Mercury legend Diana Taurasi. And I think that's a very respectable thing to do. Um, you could even say Diana Taurasi is the go to the WNBA because, you know, she's been able to bring 3 titles to the WNBA for the Phoenix Mercury. And just a proven leader year in and year out for the Mercury. And it's nice that the Arizona community is really giving back to her because while, you know, the WNBA is a topic that a lot of people don't really like to discuss, a lot of people don't really watch, it is nice to recognize your legends because, you know, and it's not just the Mercury as well. When it comes to the Cardinals, I'm still waiting on us to build a Larry Fitzgerald statue. I'm still waiting on that. But when it's nice that the Mercury is actually giving back to their legends. And, you know, we talk about the other players that we have. So, you know, it's a really good sign for the Mercury. And with Matt Ishbia, I know he just bought the 2 franchises like like a year and a half ago, but he's definitely showing great promise for what he's going to do with our teams in the future. So, but with that being said, so we're going to move on to the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, I'm excited to talk about this team for these next few weeks, or maybe even longer than that. I'm really excited. So, the Arizona Diamondbacks. There's a lot that we went through in the first half of the season. You know, we talk about the injuries that we have dealt with. We talk about what they're going to do at the trade deadline. We talk about if they're going to have a second season surge, you know what I mean? So, as of right now, the Diamondbacks are actually playing the Chicago Cubs, and it's currently the 9th inning with 1 out, and the Diamondbacks lead right now 5-2. But it's the 9th inning right now. Paul Sewald is pitching, and there's a runner on first and second. So, Paul Sewald, if you choke another game away, I'm going to curse you out on this segment. So, if you blow another game away like you did against the Dodgers and the Padres and this and that, I swear. But anyway, with that being said, so yeah, the Diamondbacks should wrap this game up in a win, but it's Paul Sewald. He's been shitting the bed lately. But anyway, um, so this Diamondbacks team, they just started their second half of the season coming off the All-Star break. Obviously, Ketel Marte and Torey Lovello leading the All-Star team. It's nice to see Ketel Marte finally getting recognized in the All-Star. It's finally nice to see that. But the second half of the season, there's a lot of topics that you could talk about regarding the Diamondbacks. You know, are they going to finally get fully healthy? Are they, you know, what kind of players are they going to get at the trade deadline? Because we talk about maybe adding in another relief pitcher because our bullpen, while our bullpen has been the reason we got to the World Series last year and the reason why we sometimes succeed, our bullpen is also the reason that we lose a lot of games as well. So it's kind of inconsistent, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. Um, But it all just depends on if this team could click at the right time like they did last year. Because, they had a rough July last year. They lost their first, I think, 10 games of August last season, and they still snuck in as a wild card team, swept Milwaukee, swept LA, beat Philly in 7, and then unfortunately they just ran into a powerhouse Rangers team, which was the death of them. So what I expect from this Diamondbacks team, I do expect them to be active in the trade deadline like they were last year. We talk about maybe adding in another DH because, like I said, our guys have been injured a lot last season. And basically, when it comes to our pitchers, Eduardo Rodriguez, who we signed to a 4-year, $80 million deal, he's still yet to play a game, which is, I mean, it's not off to a good start when it contract wise. But Torey Lovello did come out and say that Eduardo Rodriguez and Merrill Kelly are both going to be returning soon. We have Jordan Montgomery, he hasn't been the best in Arizona. He's had a bumpy start, but he's expected to come back next series against the Kansas City Royals. So we're going to be seeing more of Jordan Montgomery. We talk about Gilbert Diaz, who had a first 2 amazing starts, who they promoted after I think Jordan Montgomery went down with an injury. So with Gilbert Diaz showing great promise, we had Christian Mena play a game against the Dodgers. He had a tough first inning, but after that he showed promise in LA too against the powerhouse Dodgers lineup. So with those two young guys that could be coming up soon, and then with the addition of Merrill Kelly coming back, Zach Gallen, who has been struggling lately, but I have no ill will, and I do feel like that Zach Gallen will bounce back. And then who am I forgetting? Brandon Pfaadt, our young guy who you could say got us to the World Series last year, I guess. I mean, he was probably our best starting pitcher in the playoffs last year. So this Diamondbacks team entering the All-Star break, they were 1 game above 500, and I consider it kind of a win because we talk about the injuries and then we talk about Corbin Carroll having a sophomore slump. So it being able to be above 500 and barely out of the playoffs, I feel like that's a win considering what the Diamondbacks have been going through. And heading into the second half of the season, as I check the score real quick, and it is official, the Diamondbacks have beaten the Chicago Cubs with a score of 5-2, and they head to a victory, and they win their first game back from the All-Star break, and they are now 50-48, so they hit 50 wins, and hopefully they can get back into the playoffs. So it's a good start for the Diamondbacks. They win their first game of the second half, and they're 1-0 after the All-Star break. So it's a good start compared to last year when we sucked after the All-Star break. But basically, this Diamondbacks team, as Mike Hazen said, they are going to be active in the trade deadline. They are going to try to find probably another pitcher, whether it's a starter or a reliever, etc. And mostly they'll just be trying to trade for depth in general, or at least that's what I think they're going to be trying to do. So basically, this Diamondbacks team, as you take a look at their schedule right here, they just beat the Cubs. So that's a good sign right there. And they have 2 more games against the Cubs at Wrigley. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Zach Gallen is expected to pitch. Or wait, I think it's Zach Gallen is pitching tomorrow. I'm pretty sure. And then Brandon Pfaadt is pitching the 3rd game. And then we have Jordan Montgomery back against the Royals. So we're going up against teams in the All-Star break. Hey, appreciate it, Aaron. Yep. I can't wait to be here, man. And then DFW Sports Raps checking in. Yep. Great shit. Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. This is my first episode, and I feel like I'm getting off to a good start. So, but with that being said, so we're going up against teams that are sort of, I guess, in the hunt for the playoffs, except for the Nationals. So we take on the Royals, who are actually looking like a really good team this year. I'm surprised with the Royals. The Cubs, who have been kind of slacking off a little bit, and the Pirates, who, by the way, I am going to the Pirates game on the 27th, as you see right here. So this Saturday, I am going to the Diamondbacks game, or next Saturday, I'm going to the Diamondbacks game. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait. I hope Paul Skeens is pitching in that game because that will be amazing. But I am going to that game with my girlfriend, so it's going to be amazing. But I do feel like this schedule that we have it's going to be really, really interesting to see how, because, we talk about the Royals and the Pirates, teams that are kind of in the hunt for the playoffs. The Cubs have kind of, gone down a little bit. But let's see right here. Yeah, it's been a great show, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Been a great show so far. So let's see here. So we take a look at the standings, right? You got the Phillies. Ew. You got the Phillies who are first. You got the Braves who are always going to be a playoff team no matter what. You have the Mets who have surprised me this season. I'm pretty sure they're the last seed right now in the playoffs. And then you got the Nationals and Marlins who are going to miss it probably. NL Central. It's really a race between the Brewers and the Cardinals, in my opinion. Even though I feel like the Pirates could make a push, something tells me that they're just not going to get over that hump yet. I feel like they're going to have another year until they make the playoffs, or maybe 2 years. But the St. Louis Cardinals, who are currently in the wild card spot, I'm pretty sure they're fifth right now, or maybe they're fifth right now. And the Brewers, who currently lead their division, and they are third in the wild card right now. And then we take a look at my beloved NL West division. You got the Frogers, who are first place, and basically the Dodgers. And if you look at this too, the Diamondbacks, they've been winning. I think they've won 11 of their last 16 games, including today. So the Diamondbacks are somewhat making a comeback to the Dodgers. I'm not saying they're going to take first place because the Dodgers, they're a powerhouse team, especially during the regular season. So. So it is what it is, but yeah, man. I mean, hey, I just hate the Dodgers. I have occasionally some of their fans too, not all of them, but occasionally some of them. But hey, whenever the Diamondbacks play the Dodgers, it's always competitive. And this season, we've actually had the Dodgers number this season too. It surprised me. So we've had their number this season. So hey, but back to the division. So the Padres are on our tails right now. But as you can see, the standings haven't updated either. It's actually 50 and 48. That's what the Diamondbacks are now after their win today. So they're basically on the same standing as the Padres right now. Hopefully the Padres go on a losing skid. You got the San Francisco Giants, who, I mean, they've been a mid-team for the past few years. I don't see them making the playoffs. They lost Jung-Hee Lee for the season. And their pitchers have been somewhat kind of inconsistent like they always are. But under first-year manager Bob Melvin, we'll see what he does in the second half of the Giants season. And then, of course, guys, I say this all the time. Why are the Diamondbacks never going to finish last place in their division? It's because of the Colorado Rockies. So I'll just leave it at that. Yep, Christian Walker, Dodgers killer. I think he had, 4 or 5, maybe 6 homers in the last series we played the Dodgers. So it was brutal. It was brutal if you're a Dodgers fan. The Guardians are trying to help you out with those Padres. Hey, the Guardians are a great team this year. I didn't see that coming. The Guardians are a great team this year. I'm pretty sure they're first or second in the AL right now, maybe third. I know they're top 3 right now, but they're doing their part right now. So, I mean, the Guardians, I mean, they're especially with Steven Kwan having the highest batting average. We talk about Jose Ramirez, who's been a veteran on the Guardians, who I'm a fan of as well. And I think even though they lost their star pitcher, who was it? Shane Bieber, I think. Is he on the Guardians? I think that's who he is. Even though they lost him for the year, they're still doing their part. I'll give them credit. I think we play the Guardians at some point in the second half of the season. So it's going to be interesting for those teams. So, but with that being said, guys, like I said, this is only episode 1. This is just the beginning right here. It's only the beginning right here of an amazing show that I'm going to have every Friday at 1:00 p.m. Pacific time. So with that being said, guys, it's been an amazing show, an amazing start to my brand new journey. Once again, I want to thank Larry for giving me the opportunity to be here with the IE Sports Radio. It's been an amazing first episode, and it's been an amazing first week of me being included in this group. It's going to be fantastic, and it's going to be a fantastic show, and it's going to be a fantastic journey. But with that being said, guys, that is a wrap on episode 1. And make sure to follow all of our platforms, like I said earlier. And with that being said, guys, make sure to follow me on YouTube as well. I got a personal YouTube as well. But yeah, make sure to follow us on all of our platforms, etc. And if you miss our shows, they're right here on Spotify, Spreaker. And make sure to follow our website as well. And then the shop, including that. And then our custom pages. Mine is right here if you want to give it a follow. and my IE Sports Radio Twitter at the AZ Sports Zone IE, and my personal Twitter at the AZTRL, and my YouTube, Always Arizona Sports. Guys, I'm close to 600 subs. I really want to get there as soon as possible. I'm trying to grow my channel. I'm almost at 600. I'm 11 away. Let's try to get there as soon as possible. And make sure to take a look at our sponsors as well, like I said earlier. And with that being said, guys, that has been a wrap on episode 1. Thank you guys for coming to the AZ Sports Zone right here on your IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all of that is sports. Thank you guys.